If you're here, you're likely considering how a food safety management system could benefit you. Maybe you own your own company, or you are an employee of a growing corporation. Either way, tools that manage food safety can serve to be beneficial for any business. It's important to understand the core and purpose and benefits of a food safety management system. By having a system in place, you can constantly improve the food safety in our own organization, as well as in all previous supply chains. Keep in mind that the implementation of a food safety management system is a strategic decision by an organization that can help improve its overall performance and provide a good basis for sustainable and safe development initiatives. If the organization has a food safety system in place, it can be trusted that the organization is addressing issues related to the safety of its products and those of its previous suppliers, and that safeguards are in place in organizational procedures, work planning, and execution to protect against contamination by undesirable bacteria. The standard applies to all sectors and areas of business and society, as well as to all sizes of organizations, regardless of whether they are profit-oriented or not. Investing in a system like this will only serve as a benefit in a long-term business plan and reputation among your customers. But how is a food safety management system structured? Let's look at the individual components with their requirements.
Understanding the organization and its context.
Every company that handles food and its processes and products is required by law to implement a food safety management system in the organization. First, the organization must determine external and internal issues that are relevant to the food safety management system. Next, it will decide its best-suited purpose and its strategic direction, which will affect its ability to achieve the intended results that are set at beginning of its implementation. Understanding the context can be facilitated by considering issues arising from all different departments and focus areas. Depending on the organization, it can range from legal, technological, competitive, market, cultural, social, and economic environments. However, the organization should understand the needs and expectations of interested parties in order to have the correct goals for a food safety management system. Once the need is determined, the next step is to establish the processes needed to accurately develop the system. How is this determined? Once you know the goal and process for the system, start how success is measured. Consider what expected inputs and outputs are for this processes and what key figures will be used to measure them. Another part of the process is determining how execution will occur. This includes the processes, the resources, responsibilities, and authorities, which must be determined early on. All of the processes in a company must be analyzed on the basis of the key figures and constantly monitored and improved over time. Goals, inputs, and output may shift with time, but that is what makes a food safety management so essential and beneficial to any company.
Leadership and commitment.
The organization's management will demonstrate leadership and commitment with respect to the food safety management system and to customers. The organization must carefully determine and address risks and opportunities that can affect conformity of food products. The organization must also develop a policy for food safety to accompany the system. A policy like this will describe the corporate values, guidelines, and educate the employees on the system. This step will ensure that everyone is in agreement and understanding of the system and the expectations surrounding it. The management must take on the role of ensuring that the responsibilities and authorities for relevant roles are assigned, communicated, and understood within the organization. By following these steps, it eliminates the potential of misunderstandings across roles. All persons must be responsible for reporting problems related to the food safety management system to the designated persons.
Planning.
With every organization comes a set of risks and opportunities. Each day that an organization is conducting their daily business with customers and suppliers, risks and opportunities will inevitably arise. Every organization must have an actionable plan in place to address risks and opportunities. They should regularly evaluate the effectiveness of these actions based on previous outcomes. When action is taken, they shall be proportionate to the potential impact on the conformity of products and services. The response to risks and opportunities must be appropriate and scalable to the situation. On the impact on food safety requirements, on conformity of food products and services with customer requirements, on requirements of interested parties in the food chain, food safety objectives and planning to achieve them. Before anything goes into action, the organization shall establish objectives at relevant functions, levels, and processes. Once there is an objective at play, consider if it meets these three criteria. Is it measurable? Can it be monitored? And how can it be communicated? When an organization is planning how to achieve its objectives, they must have clear answers to the following questions. What will be done? What resources will be required? Who will be responsible? When it will be completed? And how the results will be evaluated. These questions will eliminate the possibility for mishandling of tasks or evaluation and ensure that there is a plan in place for the process. Planning of changes. When the organization determines the need for changes to the food safety management system, the changes shall be carried out in a planned manner. Action will not be taken without a clear objective, communication, and plan in place. By doing so, the organization must consider the availability of resources and the reallocation of responsibilities and authorities when making changes to the food safety management system.
Support.
Having the correct amount and type of support throughout this processes is also critical within the food safety management system. The organization shall determine and provide the resources needed for the establishment, implementation, maintenance, and continual improvement of the food safety management system. These resources will vary by organization and will oftentimes include people, infrastructure, and environment for the operation of processes. Organizational knowledge. The organization shall determine the knowledge necessary for the operation of its processes and to achieve conformity of products and services. There is not one approach that will work the same across departments and industries, so a unique approach is necessary. Control of externally provided processes, products, or services. The organization shall establish criteria for the evaluation, selection, performance monitoring, and revaluation of external providers of processes, products, or services. Ensure that requirements are appropriately communicated to the external providers and are communicated. Ensure that externally provided processes, products, or services support the ability of the organization to continuously meet the requirements of its food safety management system. Competence. In order to ensure the correct people are working with the system, the organization shall determine the necessary competence of persons doing work under its control that affects the performance and effectiveness of the food safety management system. Ensure that these persons are competent based on appropriate education, training, or experience. Assessing competency will help prevent errors or difficulties from arising while integrating the system. Communication. Just like anything else, communication is key. The organization shall determine the internal and external communication, including what is needed to be communicated, when to communicate, with whom to communicate, how to communicate.
Operation.
The organization shall plan, implement, and control the process needed to meet the requirements for the provision of products and services. The output of this planning shall be suitable for the organization's operations and goals. The organization is also responsible for controlling planned changes and reviewing the consequences of unintended changes. They must take action to mitigate any adverse effects as necessary. When determining the requirements for the products and services to be offered to customers, the organization will need to ensure that the requirements for the products and services are defined. This will include any applicable statutory and regulatory requirements. Once these requirements are set, the organization shall ensure that it has the ability to meet the requirements for products and services to be offered to customers. From there, they can conduct a review before committing to supply products and services to a customer. Preventive programs. The organization must establish, implement, maintain, and update a preventive program to prevent or reduce hazards to food safety in the products during product processing and in the working environment. Traceability. The traceability system must make it possible to uniquely identify incoming deliveries from suppliers and the first phase of the distribution channel of the final product to be clearly identified. Properties of raw materials, ingredients, and materials coming into contact with products' materials. The organization shall ensure that all applicable legal and regulatory requirements for food safety requirements for all raw materials, ingredients, and materials in contact with products with which the product is manufactured and materials are identified. Measures in case of non-compliance with limit values or non-fulfillment of action criteria. The organization shall ensure that in the event of non-compliance with limits or non-fulfillment of action criteria, the affected products are identified and managed with regard to their use and release. If action criteria are not met, the following actions must be implemented. Determine the consequences of this failure in terms of food safety. Determination of the causes of the error. Identification of the affected products. Control of non-compliant products and processes. The organization must take measures to prevent potentially unsafe products from entering the food chain. The organization shall keep products identified as potentially unsafe under its control until they have been evaluated and a determination made as to their continued fate. If products that are no longer under the organization's control are subsequently determined to be not safe, the organization must notify the appropriate interested parties and initiate a withdrawal or recall. Disposal of non-compliant products. Products that are not acceptable for release must be reprocessed or further processed inside or outside the organization to ensure that the food safety hazard is reduced to an acceptable level, or be used for a new purpose as long as food safety in the food chain is not compromised, or destroyed and/or disposed of as waste. Take back or recall. The organization shall be able to ensure the timely withdrawal recall of end product lots that have been potentially determined to be unsafe by appointing competent individuals who are authorized to initiate and implement the withdrawal recall process.
Monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation.
Once the food safety management system is in place, the results it yields must be assessed. The organization must evaluate the performance and the effectiveness of the food safety management system. By doing this, the organization must determine what needs to be monitored and measured, the methods for monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation needed to ensure valid results. When the monitoring and measuring shall be performed, when the results from monitoring and measurement shall be analyzed and evaluated, the organization shall analyze and evaluate appropriate data information collected from monitoring and measurement phase. The results of the analysis of the food safety management system be used to evaluate, to confirm that the overall performance of the system is in compliance with the target specifications and the organization's established requirements for the food safety management system, to identify the need to update or improve the food safety management system, to identify trends that indicate the more frequent occurrence of potentially unsafe products or process failures. Internal audit. What about audits? By carrying out internal audits, the requirements and their implementation are verifiably checked. The organization shall plan, establish, implement, and maintain an audit program. The program will need to include assessing the frequency, methods, responsibilities, planning requirements, and reporting. Each of these topics will take into consideration the importance of the processes concerned, changes affecting the organization, and the results of previous audits. Management review. Another way to review the outcomes of the system implementation is to bring in upper management. The role of the top management team will be to review the organization's food safety management systems at planned intervals to ensure its continuing suitability, adequacy, effectiveness, and alignment with the strategic direction of the organization. They will ensure that the outcomes are following the original guidelines and goals set in place at the beginning. Management shall put together a review. This review should address the outputs of the management decisions and actions related to opportunities for future improvement and any necessary changes to the food safety management system that would yield results that are closer to the original goal.
Improvement.
One of the best parts about having a food safety management system in place is that it allows for improvement to occur. The organization shall determine and select opportunities for improvement. Once these opportunities are assessed, improvement can be implemented by any necessary actions to meet customer requirements and enhance customer satisfaction. These actions can include improving products and services to meet requirements as well as to address future needs and expectations, correcting, preventing, or reducing undesired effects, improving the performance and effectiveness of the food safety management system, nonconformity and corrective action. While it is important to have a strategic plan in place for goals, it is equally as important to have a plan to address nonconformity. When a nonconformity occurs, it must be responded to react and take action to control and correct it. It is necessary to eliminate the causes of nonconformities so that they do not reoccur or occur in a different place or cause repeat issues to occur. Continual improvement. Over time, like anything else, the system can undergo improvement. The organization shall continually improve the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the food safety management system. The organization should always consider the results of analysis and evaluation and the outputs from management review. This process will help determine if there are needs or opportunities that shall be addressed as part of continual improvement. Goals may change and customer response may vary, so return to the first step of the process and set new goals and outcomes to be achieved with the Food Safety Management System. There you have it. This has been an overview of food safety management systems and their operations, as well as how they can serve a purpose within any organization. Thanks for watching our video. If you need information or help to develop or implement a food safety management system, please contact us.